Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the data management session. I see we don't have a whole lot of folks in here with us. I hope we haven't lost too many people in the process of moving around swap cards. So hopefully folks will continue to join here. Awesome. I see that there are several people who are joining the session now. So great. And we've got Ebby and Samar back with us. Hello. Ebby, are you still having technical issues? Are you there, Ebby? How about Samar? Samar, can you hear me? It's not me.
No, I'm with you.
Okay, great.
That was a great session with Farouk and Mark. Great discussion from Abby. So that was really great.
Yes, I agree. Ebby, are you there? Can you hear us? You did a great job with that panel. It was fabulous information. And a great way for us to kind of get. Yeah, there you are. Oh, yay.
Yes, I'm back here. The platform was unresponsive for a very long time. I was finding it very difficult. I think it's quite better now. I guess you're hearing me now.
Yes, we can hear you now. There is a little bit of background noise, but we can hear you.
Yes. My background is quite noisy because of. So I may off my camera and mute and then.
Great, wonderful. All right, well, it looks like everybody is coming back in for the second live activity that we're going to do here today. I am inviting everybody to come on stage. Again, we want to unmute yourself, take your camera, put your camera on. We'd love to interact with you. Otherwise, we can keep going through the live discussion in the chat. And then, of course, there's Slido. So we will continue to use this. Use your phone, take a picture of that QR code, and you should be able to get in or open a new browser and go to slido.com and type in 530-597. Okay, well, this is the end of the workshop. So let's go ahead and get started so we can get you guys out of here for the rest of your day. As you remember, this is our performance improvement framework. At the Patient Safety Movement Foundation, we use PDSA as our template. We've now planned in our project that we've been working on to get John up out of bed and to school on time. So we have an effective plan. We have now implemented that plan. And so now what we're going to talk about is, what were the outcomes of that? As I mentioned in the last activity, we did do that fishbone exercise to inform us of some other things that we had to deal with to add to our action plan. Most specifically being that John is bullied at school by an older boy. So we've completed that, and we've added that now for an action item for John's teacher here to address the bully's behavior and establish a plan for John to communicate when problems arise. So you can see here, again, this is something that is available to you, is our project plan template. You are free to download that from the resources tab, and you can use it for any of your project plans moving forward. But we can see that John's father is now actively participating and helping him with his homework. John is taking baths at night instead of showers in the morning. Maria has set a recurring alarm, so this is no longer an issue. And Maria could still be more gentle and quieter when waking John in the morning because John says this is only better on some days. So not data that we're collecting. So, again, going back to what we were just hearing about, some of us are measured to death. So, we don't have to measure everything in order to determine whether or not we're having improvement. In this case, with John's mom, we didn't say, let's do a Pareto chart to figure out, how often Maria is being loud and annoying. But we did take the pulse and say, hey, John, how's it going? So very often that's all that we really need to do to be able to determine where we're at. So now we need to move into step 9. Step 9 is to evaluate our outcomes using data. So we, again, similar to what we did in our current state, we're going to use the same kind of data and display charts, and also summarize our outcomes in a short narrative to explain to people, what happened. Remember that project plan template. The goal of that project plan template is that anybody can pick it up, read it, and really understand exactly what's been happening. So, okay, so let's go for it and talk about our data. So first we started with this data collection chart. This is where we collected all of the information. As you can see, Saturday and Sunday are grayed out because those aren't days that we chose to collect data for, because John isn't going to school on those days. And a lot of times what I see is if I'm doing project work with people, they share this data collection chart with us. So, whoops, I clicked too fast. I would love, Ebby or Samar, jump in and talk to me about this. Like, what are the challenges with presenting data this way? Or anybody else?
Well, I think, Donna, the idea of presenting data is that once you need to understand the shift, this chart, this table right here, it takes a lot of effort to try to understand what's happening. We might get the wrong conclusion. We might not be able to correlate the different factors. So we need to make it simpler for others to see what we see as a problem in the process.
Great. Absolutely. And so, but one thing that you can see that we did here is under notes, you can kind of see where we're noting when we did things. So when did the video get taken out of the room and the bath time adjusted and so on. Ebby, I see you've taken yourself off mute. Did you want to add something?
Yes, I think Samaz said quite a lot, and the fact is that data in this form, we don't have too much time to be able to spare to make decisions. Most times there's a lot on your table. Makers need to make quick decisions. So if you can't tell the story clearly from the data, it becomes difficult for decision making. So you need to have the data in a visualized form that at a glance you can tell what the data is speaking to. So that's the issue with having data in this form. It has to be presented in a way that can tell the story easily for quick decision making. Thank you.
Great points. And so, yeah, we have to make this data more visual. And so, here is some information that's a little bit different than before. When we were talking about current state, what we were looking at was, September, October, November, and so on through March, and how many times on average Maria was having to wake John. But Samar, Samar did some great work for our data analysis for the month of April. Samar, you want to talk about what you did here with these graphs?
Well, Donna, it was a way to try to understand the pattern during the day of the week. Like, how is it different from Monday to Sunday to Tuesday? Is there a pattern that we need to understand? Also, we try to plot it as a run chart. The run chart is very useful when you want to look at a process that is continuous over time. So you need to understand what's happening, at which time of the month was there a shift, was there an outlier. So by doing the run chart and by doing the bar chart, it gives you a better look. The run chart is continuous data, while the bar chart is discrete, and you can see the separation between each day of the week.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting. I would have thought going into this activity and going into this data analysis, I would have made an assumption that Maria had to wake John more often on Mondays because it was right after the weekend. But notice that really Wednesday and Friday are the harder days to get John out of bed. So, we can begin to look at this data and try to drill down a little bit more to say, what are the causative effects of that? So, so what does this data tell you? I mean, again, I'd love your thoughts on this. If you have the workbook, the activity workbook, you can refer back to the slides and the data that we were just showing you. But how's it going? Is it going better? Are we trending in the right direction? And if you don't want to answer through Slido, then please absolutely unmute yourself and you can answer here. Going better? Great. Abby, do you want to add something?
Yeah, but that's beautiful. The visualized data really shows, especially when you look at the run chart, it tells you whether there's a trend established or not. And you can relate that trend to a cause and effect relationship. And then are there areas of significant variation? So the visualized data tells a better picture of what is happening. And I'm sure our participants will get the idea from the visualized data as it is and tell us what exactly they are also observing.
Yes, absolutely. And, as Mark Graben was saying in the previous session, we do have to be a little wary sometimes of the fact that we've only got 30 days worth of data. Yes, it's trending in the right direction, but we should be wary that could always go back again, right? So, and so here is the percent of time that John goes to bed on time. So again, Samar, do you want to talk a little bit about how you were able to manipulate this data to get it to look this way?
Well, there are two ways to look at it. You need to understand the percentage of the problem. Like, is it going late, like 90% of the time, or is there a room for improvement that is achievable? See that going late is not the majority of his days, so that's the days that he goes to bed on time. And we can see here on Monday he doesn't go to bed on time most of the time, so that makes us look at it differently, that we need to start with Monday and understand what's happening here. Also, if we look down there at the run chart, we can see that there is two, like a binary result. He either goes to school on time or he doesn't go to school on time. So we see that the majority of time he goes to school on time. And so these are ways to understand the problem. You need to understand the volume of the problem, the days that the problem is more frequent, and to understand the general trends here. I loved what Farouk said in the previous session, that you need to keep questioning the data and torture the data until it confesses. So even if we plotted the bar chart, we need to really reassess the situation and ask ourselves what's happening on Monday, and then reassess again. So that's the pattern we need to follow.
I love that Farouk said that too. I just, I thought that, that was really, really helpful. And I think I'm going to use that saying that we're going to torture the data until until it confesses in the future. I'd love everybody else to weigh in on this. Again, through Slido, or unmute yourself and tell us, or put it in the chat. Are we starting to tell a story here? Is there anything that we're missing? Anything that you would like to see us do better with our data? So far, no answers. Okay. We'll keep waiting. Just another minute. I mean, I think one of the things that, the process is improving. That's right. So I think one thing that's interesting is to look at, one thing we could do better is maybe look at trends between the percent of time that John is going to bed on time and the number of times that Maria is having to wake him up in the morning. Notice that we saw that Wednesdays and Fridays were the days that Maria was having to wake John up more. But if you look at the percent of time that he's going to bed on time, really Mondays was the time that he wasn't going to bed on time. So interesting correlation there that that even on the days that he doesn't go to bed on time, Maria isn't having as much trouble getting him out of bed. So yes, exactly. We need to see the happiness level also, because maybe it's not because he's not getting to bed on time. Maybe there are other reasons why Maria is having trouble getting him out of bed. So, and Melody had a question to, let me go back to that slide, to elaborate on the y-axis and the bar chart. So Samar, I wonder if you could do that for us. Just talk about the y-axis on this bar chart.
I'm sorry, Donna, what was the question?
I elaborate on the y-axis in the bar chart, which was the bed on time versus the day of the week. So right here.
Yeah. So here, the bed on time, you try to the answer. Is he going to bed on time? So there's binary result. He either goes in bed on time, or he doesn't go to bed on time. So you need to give a weight for each answer. So yes here is weighted with 1, and no with -1. So this approach we can use for binary results. So here I plot the result. Is he going to bed on time? I give it a weight of 1. When he doesn't, I give it a -1. So here is the result. Is he going or not? I hope I answered that.
Excellent. The first chart, the 4, 3, and 1 are the number of times. So this is this chart right here, Smart.
Yeah. So here the x-axis is the days of the week, and the y-axis is does he go to bed on time? So here also the result is yes or no. If he goes to bed on time, you see on Monday 4 times within the month he goes to bed on time. So if he goes to bed on time, you correlate it with the y-axis, and the x-axis is the day of the week. And here this is a combination. The bar chart here is not a single bar chart, a double bar chart. So you can use that with bar chart. You can have 2 answers and then plot them on the y-axis.
So what does the number 4 at the top of this bar represent, and the number 1 at the top of this bar represent?
So the 4, he goes late on Monday, 4 times, 4 Mondays within this week, within this month, he went late. And 1 time on a Monday, he was on time. So this is the 2 results.
Yep, exactly. And Melody just got that right there. That, yep, we could say on Monday he went to bed 4 times. Four Mondays he went to bed late. So great explanation. Thank you, Samar. Okay, so yes, we need to see the happiness level. Okay, so and so now we've got a couple more. So the total number of observations is 5. Yes, because we did it over the course of 1 month, and it just so happened there were 5 Mondays in that month. So again, if you have access to your book, then you'll see that there. So 95, 7:30 a.m.
Donna,
So
your voice. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Going back. I was losing your voice, so I thought it was a problem I had, but it's going back.
Okay, great. So Samar, you did the same thing here, right? That this is the days, the number of days that on the number of Mondays that he was ready on by 7:30. versus not ready by 7:30, right?
Yes, that's right.
So again, very similar to and this one, which is the late for school. So he's still late for school. He was late 2 times this month. So audio is disconnected. Oh no! So I wonder if that was not just you, Samar. So thank you for reporting those technical difficulties. We are definitely going to be looking at all of those and doing a debrief at the end of this to see what we can do to improve this better in the future. So we haven't gotten to 0 times for John to be late for school. He has been late just a few times. But it is improving. So question. Interested in what your thoughts are on which of these charts are most helpful to you to paint a picture of trends. Do you think that having those multiple visualizations is helpful? Do you think just having 1 or 2 of them is helpful? Or is there anything you'd like to share about your thoughts on the charts that we decided to use to visualize? And thanks, Melody, for letting me know that you could hear me, so I know that it wasn't technical difficulties on my end. Again, feel free to put it in the chat or unmute yourself. You can talk.
Hello, is it me?
Yes. Great.
Yeah, but I like the charts that has the bar charts with positive and negative axis. With the bar, I can still talk a little bit on that. With the bars below and bars above, it's quite interesting.
Yes, and I appreciate Samar doing that for us because as I said, I'm very skilled at leading teams and doing work, but there was always somebody in the hospital that I could say, "Can you get a chart out of this idea?" So so Samar is very skilled at being able to do that. Was that Samar?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. There's a background sound that okay. It's very simple. If you have a qualitative result, like he either does it or there's a yes or no answer, you can always interpret it in a numerical value, a binary value. Like for yes, I give it 1. For no, I give it -1. And then you just put it in an Excel table. For Monday, 1, for Tuesday, -1, and so on. And then when you insert the chart, it will be reflected as bar chart. The value of this chart is that you can see the positive side and the negative side. You can see the volume of the positive side, the yeses, versus the negative side and the negative outcome. So Excel is a very valuable and useful tool. You just need to understand how to interpret the qualitative values into numerical quantitative values, and it's very easily done. I don't know if we can send later the specific instructions for that. I'd be happy to share.
That's wonderful. Yes, that would be great, Samar. And then we can add that to the resources page so that everybody can get access to that. Excellent. Okay.
Great.
So, yes.
I just said, Sumar, thank you so much. Great work.
Or maybe.
And I see that somebody commented that that we could add trend lines. Somebody else commented in the chat that we could add a run chart in addition to the bar graphs. But yes, thank you very much, Samar, for explaining this. And of course, now we've got the same content here for whether or not John was happy to go to school. Remember, this is new data that we're collecting. This is a new process metric that that we're trying to determine. Again, what we could do to paint a picture for people that aren't familiar with the data is, maybe add some text boxes to show that what has happened to make him more happy to go to school. So if if you're in your workbook, you can look at that data and see that right around this time, John joined the baseball team. And so as soon as he joined the baseball team and started making new friends, that's when he started being much happier about going to school. The other thing that happened here was that his teacher addressed his bully. So remember, because it took us into about this time frame where the teacher, where we did our fishbone to be able to understand that the bullying was an issue, then we were able to address it here. So so things are looking up here. And I think we already pretty much talked about this question about what we could do to make these charts more robust. Everybody's already, talked about the bar charts and everything, but any other final thoughts about how we could make these more robust? Okay.
Donna, in a run chart,
Yes, Samar.
when we convert the run chart into a control chart, that's very useful sometimes to have this benchmark of the upper and lower limit. So when we try to improve a process, we use run chart to understand the flow of the process. But then once you put the improvement actions in place, you need to understand that is it working or not. So a control chart is very valuable in having this upper limit and lower limit that will help us, like in Six Sigma, it will help us to understand the variation in the process and how to limit those variations. So turning a run chart into a control chart is very useful.
And Samar,
And I see Melody is mentioning that as well. It's very valuable tool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what would be great is if we could include that direction as well on, how would somebody turn that, what are the instructions for turning a run chart into a control chart in Excel? We can add that to the same resource.
No problem. Yes.
Great. Okay, we will do that. We'll have that up on the resources. And just for everybody that's on here today, this content will be up for a week. Afterwards, you'll still be able to get in and view all of this information. So, and we are recording these live sessions, so you'll be able to watch those as well. So we, please feel free to come back and watch it some more, and we'll let you know when those resources are up on the page. Okay, so here are our results. So, very often this is how we end up showing our final outcomes, and which is fine. It's perfectly fine to display it this way as long as you also have those other graphs that tell the story of what this really means. But in terms of meeting our goals, you can see that we wanted to decrease the percentage of days that John is late for school to less than 5%. We went from 48% to 9%. 5% may have been a stretch goal, but that's okay. We are headed in the right direction. So we'll continue to monitor that to make sure that John is not late for school. And of course, be analyzing, why was he late for school? Was it because Maria didn't make his lunch in time? Was it because his siblings were distracting him while he was taking them to school? We wanted to improve John's grades by 20%. We didn't have any data charts on this because this is a great example of something we might not be trending every single day over the course of the month. But in this case, we asked John's teacher at the end of the month, so what's his grade now compared to what his grade was? So he's doing a lot better. If we improve his grades by 20%, I believe that's around 74%. So he's definitely meeting this goal here. Maria is still having to wake John more than one time a day. On average, it's about 1.7 times a day. So still have some work to do there. The percentage of times that John is ready for school, we wanted to increase that to 80%. Notice that sometimes we are setting our goals to say by 20% versus to 20%, or in this case, to 80%. So we've exceeded that goal. So that's great. He's actually getting ready to go to school. And then the percentage of nights that John goes to bed on time, we still have some work to do there. So again, examining why that is. He has a bunch of siblings at home. Are they keeping him awake? Did he figure out a way to get his hands on his video game again? kids have a way of doing that. And now we wanted to increase the number of days that John said he's happy to go to school to 50%. We're at 64%. So hopefully joining the baseball team was helpful for him. So, again, talking about the data trends. These run charts will show you that all we did here was just add the April number into the trend charts that we had from the current state. So you can see again that we're headed in the right direction. But what I've been interested in is your thoughts. As Farouk mentioned on the previous panel, there's often a lot of things that influence our data. And people very often want to know what was the one intervention that worked. And sometimes we don't know the one intervention that worked. Sometimes we can make an assumption based on some of the process metrics that we have, but there's so many things happening in John's life. There's so many things that are influencing him being able to get to school on time and also to get good grades. So what else besides what we've measured do you think might have influenced these changes? There you go, selective bias, absolutely. So we talked about that somewhat in the chat when we were talking. Keep those answers coming while I'm talking about this. But yeah, what we talked about was what happens when you're incentivized to have certain outcomes. So I know myself, when I was a hospital executive, I was a chief nursing officer and a site administrator of a hospital, and my metrics were the metrics that I had in my hospital, the outcomes that I had were directly related to my annual performance improvement, performance plan, right? So my raise, my bonus was directly tied to how well we did in those outcomes. And so, and over short periods of time, right? Sometimes it takes an entire year to be able to get to the point where we can see outcomes that we want to see. So we need to make sure that our incentives are appropriate in these cases. Okay, so whoops. Okay, so real quick question for you. I don't know why I can't get to this. Okay, so John's behavior has improved greatly over the past 30 days. The fishbone exercise revealed that John's being bullied at school and he doesn't have many friends. So his teacher was involved in improving this, and he reports that his school relationships are better. He was able to join the baseball team and is making friends. He's getting his homework done every night with his father's help and has changed his routine to taking baths at night before bed. His grades have improved and he reports liking school much better now. So here again, just as we did in the current state, we have our data, but we also have this kind of summary and a short narrative for people to read to know exactly what our outcomes were. So now we have planned, we have done, we have studied, and now it's time for the A part of the PDSA, which I don't know where there it is. Okay, so in the A part of the PDSA, we should be debriefing with everybody to find out, how we did, what went well, what didn't go well, what are our next steps. And this should be a process that we're doing on an ongoing basis. So would love your input here. What should we do? Should we keep doing what we're doing and see if the progress continues? Should we adjust and make additional changes? Or should we abandon our efforts and stop trying? Please let us know what you think here. Again, remember the PDSA, really, that A usually stands for act, but, in my mind, it's either act, adjust, or abandon. So there are some additional changes that we could make. Yep, absolutely. I mean, that we could decide to do either, right? We could decide, let's keep going and see how it goes, because if we're trending in the right direction, it may be that some of our efforts just haven't taken hold yet. Or we could say, what we're doing, this whole thing of John taking baths at night really isn't working as well as we thought. Let's do something different than that. But so great. Okay, so final question for you. Do you understand more about performance improvement now than you did before this workshop started today? Slido, chat. Great. Okay, so I got 2 people saying yes, very much so. Wonderful, wonderful, awesome, wonderful. Okay, and we hope for future, we're going to be doing this workshop on an ongoing basis. Tell your friends about it, but hopefully in the future, we're going to be a lot more interactive and have everybody able to get on Slido or able to get on camera. But how are you going to apply this? I'd love to know how you think you'll apply what you've learned today in your work setting. And while everybody is answering that, Eddie and Samar, I'd love your final thoughts on everything that we've done today.
Final thoughts. Donna, you've done a great job. Mama, you've done a great job too. And I like the participants who have been very active and interactive in this session. And it's been a great session. I have just had a thought of thinking that data forms the real background on most of what we performance improvement. And the ability to collect data and analyze this data and interpret it as to what exactly is happening with the changes that we are doing is key to successful performance improvement. So I hope that Sama will share most of what she has talked about that will guide our participants in terms of what they need to do in analyzing their data and interpreting the data as it corresponds to the changes that are being done, so that the cause and effect relationship that we talk about in performance improvement can be established. If we don't have the ability to collect, analyze, and interpret our data, then we may not be able to identify when changes and improvements are being made. Thank you. I love you guys, and we hope to see you in the next session.
Great, thank you, Abby. Samar, final thoughts from you.
Sure. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Ibi. I think what we've done so far is go through the process, but I would love to highlight the fact that if we focus too much on the data measurement, on the plans, on the actions and the process, we might lose sight of what we're doing and why we're doing it in the first place. Like a lot of hospitals, they go like, we need to achieve 0% hospital acquired infection this month. And when they this percentage, they celebrate. And as you said, you brief the team on the achievement and you just celebrate the success. But what happens is that we abandon the project later on, not because we couldn't achieve the goal, but because we just felt a full sense of safety and a full sense of satisfaction, and that of we've done our best and now everything will go smoothly and work in its place. But that doesn't happen. We need to continue. Like the PDSA cycle comes hand in hand with the continuous improvement, with the Kaizen model, is that no matter what your achievement is, you can do better, and there's always a room for improvement. So it's very valuable to just someone said that there is a selective bias in collecting data. There is a sense of manipulating the data that like for our benefit in the short term, because we don't want to lose that raise or lose that position, but in affected negatively, and we lose track of the end achieved. So just because our metrics are good, we are achieving our goal. Just each time we need to aim higher, adjust our benchmarks, adjust our goals, and move forward. Abandoning a project, killing projects, that's a condition that happens everywhere, and we need to just continue the effort and we see it as well. If someone gets transferred or leave their position, sometimes all the projects that were allocated to them just no one carry over the effort, and we lose the progress. So it's not assigned to one individual. It's a a project for the whole entity and institution, and we need to continue moving forward. So I think it's key to not look only at data and metrics, to keep
are muted. Oh, I think you lost Samar. Well, she was saying some really great things and great insight from Samar. So thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Samar, for helping me facilitate this. Thank you to everybody who joined us today. Please remember that all of this information is available on the resources page that is linked here. You can come back for a week to access this information. I appreciate all of your great comments. Please tell your friends and let everybody know. We want 2 million people this year to be committed to zero. So if your organization has not made a formal commitment to zero, encourage them to do so. This activity is free if your organization is committed to zero. We only charge organizations that do not that have not yet made that commitment. So if you'd like to pass that information on, we would appreciate that as well. So thank you again, everybody. This has been a lot of fun. Please do respond to the survey that you'll receive after this event. We really want to know how to make this better. We're going to continue to offer this over and over. So tell us what we can do better next time. So everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining.